for that.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been. All right, guys. Well, it's time to get ready for the match at hand. It's South Korea versus Austria. All right, well, the players should be coming out here. I was like in my video like this on the screen.
It was a good video.
Oh boy, and there they are, making their way out to the stage right now, the South Koreans and the Austrians here. This is certainly going to be an incredible matchup for fans in South Korea, and as well as actually around the world, because Apex has been pretty big.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
I stayed up late to watch the Apex finals, the Lunatic High face off against Kongju. That was a pretty awesome final there, and I mean, this team, man, they have everything going for them here, James.
I mean, once again, two-time Apex champions and 3 of the players. We also have 2 returning members, Jae-hong and Zumba, from last year's World Cup 2016 team. And this is possibly the best squad you can ask for, right? We already know Roo Jae-hong is a household name at this point. With his Ana play, we were able to see him last year under so much pressure, still able to land clutch sleep darts and everything, but we've also seen him evolve a little bit more. We're seeing so much versatility come out from this entire team, and Jae-hong is kind of like the crux of that position. We saw Lunatic High actually bust out a lot of these solo support compositions, and Jae-hong is the man that can do it. He can go on to 76 and all these other picks.
Yeah, and then on the other side, we have the Austrians, who are some players you mentioned before, but I want to retouch on this. Who are some players that you want to highlight in particular?
I mean, obviously, I'm expecting Katowice and What7 to really show up here in this very dive-heavy meta, right? Those are the players to look out for, with a good Winston, with a good Tracer, so they technically do have the key ingredients to make it work. They are consisting of players which might not be well-known internationally, but they are known in Austria. Those guys are coming from 2 different teams, Team Respawn, HFC, as well as War Kids, and they've been finalists in countless Austria lands and tournaments, so they do know what they're doing, and they definitely came here to perform on this very stage. And yeah, I'm just very much interested to see what kind of strats they're coming up with, because they did hint at specifically practicing for individual other teams, so who knows?
Yeah, we touched on this earlier, Golden Boy, the first match going into the tournament. I think this is actually a pretty good match going into it, because you don't feel as much pressure going up against South Korea. You know they're huge favorites. So you just want to get in there, be on stage, play a game, and maybe tomorrow you have some more experience going into the second match.
Yeah, and what a way, too, for you to be able to start off against South Korea, right? You know, some of the best teams, best players in the world. So you're getting a lot of good practice in. In fact, some of the European teams that are out here have taken opportunities to scrim against the South Koreans, because how many opportunities are you going to have?
Exactly.
In that instance, you want to be able to learn from some of the best in the world. And then for the Austrians, right? I think they know the task at hand is going to be very, very difficult, met with a lot of hiccups along the way, but this is their opportunity to be able to iron out their issues, and who knows, maybe even get upset wins over Netherlands and you know.
I definitely think they are a team who can surprise. They do, as we mentioned before, like they do have the ingredients, maybe not against Korea, but
yeah.
It might be possible against the other teams, and we already established that every map matters in this very groups. Every point matters.
We saw it.
Yeah.
Well, we saw it happen though.
Right, Reinforced?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every point matters, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's very important.
No, for sure, every map matters. And I mean, if they can take a map versus South Korea, that's huge, because this group, whoever manages to get a few maps of just Netherlands, of Poland, I mean, you can get that second spot. So it's very open. Netherlands have to be flawless to get that second spot, but I think Austria and Poland, they can cause a mess in this group.
Yeah, it could get very dirty, very messy. very fast. Then we would need a bath.
South Korea is going to help us out.
Yes, they're going to cleanse us all. Oh, man. James, we've praised South Korea quite a bit here, and for due reason, because they are considered to be some of the best players in the world. But, you know, one thing that I've enjoyed hearing about this squad is that, yes, there are, like, you could say, oh, why don't they just take all Lunatic High and just bring them and then just roll all the way through to BlizzCon? But instead, they went with the team that had the best synergy, which I thought was very interesting, considering that we have a mismatch here.
It was a very calculated approach coming out from the South Korean committee members. Yeah, Youngbotang, Marine, and I believe Runner were the 3 committee members. And the thing is, Runner has been within the scene for a really long time. He has a lot of information. We've seen how active he has been with Runaway over in South Korea in trying to analyze that team, analyze other teams, and try to find the right picks for them. So they took a really active approach in trying to pick out this team. And bringing in Sebilby and Flower, while, you know, they are coming in from LW Blue, there is some manner of synergy coming in with the rest of the squad. Like, a lot of these players did play in some mixed match teams earlier on before they did find this foundation of their main squads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you compare South Korea to a team like Rogue, you're like, or a team like France, sorry, I mean, they're the same thing. But France, for example, they're really good at dive and really good at executing dive. What's so scary about this South Korean squad is they're not just good at dive, they're good at everything. So, I mean, right here at BlizzCon, they're just going to be good in every meta. I mean, so they're very scary. They have insane hero pools.
It's a diversity that not a lot of teams can really match, which is very scary, you know, when you think about it, because who knows what the favorites would be going into Anaheim, and that's what, in November. So, like, that's a lot of time between now and then. We're already starting to see that with the new update. Some shifts, some new heroes taking the spotlight. Hashtag Zarya mains, you know. Mm-hmm. We will return, and
wow.
You know, like, that's my thing.
I mean, I'm just hoping Reinhardt returns. Sorry for cutting you off. No. But the question is, will Zoe return to Reinhardt after this?
Of course I will, because I still have more hours played on him than you do.
Oh, dear Lord.
Calling it.
What is going on right now?
We have that Reinhardt thing going on.
That's just fake news.
That's
fake news. Sure.
That's a good laugh right there. I love that. We got jokes for days here, guys.
Yeah, talking about jokes, though. I love the attitude of Team Austria. When we had the chance to sit down with them, they were so upbeat and positive. You know, like, they're realistic about their chances here. They have a very, very healthy approach to this game and to this competition. And they just want to come here and try their best. And I hope to see those smiles at the end of this very match, too.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for Austria because I've been watching, you know, I watch a lot of streams. I watch a lot of pro streams. And Kabaji is a name that, like you had mentioned, Zoe, that comes up pretty often. He duels with a lot of people in North America, even though, you know, he's playing from Europe. So even though he's got that ping disadvantage, he'll go on the Tracer and he'll still carry a lot of games. So I'm expecting big things coming out from Kabaji.
Yeah, I'm expecting good things out of What7. This is a guy who's been a professional player. He's played for Team Dignitas and such. So this is sort of their leader in the team, the experienced guy on Winston. Mm-hmm. Someone I'm looking out for to have a lot of understanding of positioning and how to grab space as a Winston, create space for your team, create space for Kabaji, as we highlighted, a very good Tracer player. So keep a good look on What7 and where he leaps, and expect protection coming out of Sensitix on the Diva.
Yeah, one player for me in particular that I need to focus on is Uber Bingo, playing the Lucio role here, because we saw in the last game how it could really affect you if you mistime those sound barriers. You know, when you drop the beat too late. Right. I mean, no one likes it at the party, and then no one likes that in game as well.
You know, what I like about Uber Bingo is also like that was actually really good. He's a player with very good mechanical skills. He also usually plays flex, so he is. I think he's playing like a different hero every single season. But that also gives him a good broad understanding of the whole game. You know, like if you're more familiar with different heroes and positionings, then that does help a lot in a game like Overwatch. And even though What7 might be the only one who's internationally known and a pro player, and technically could be considered the only pro player Austria has in that regard, the others still bring experience from other smaller lands and tournaments.
Well, it's nice to have as well. You have these smaller teams. You know, have a growing scene. So maybe this Austria team can inspire other Austrians next year. You know, put on a good show.
Yeah, you want to be able to really inspire your region. We saw that with Argentina.
We saw that with Japan.
Yeah, we saw that with Japan, right? I mean, who knew that that region was that darn good at Overwatch, right? I mean, none of us thought that coming into it. A region traditionally known for incredible fighting game players, and here they are fielding an incredible Overwatch team. And when you think about Europe, you think about the FPS background that these players all have. You know, who knows, right? Anything could be developed from here. Why are you laughing?
You said they had really good fighting game players, and I'm just imagining next year when they bring out the Reinhardt, Winston, Doomfist meta.
Oh, man, that's going to be fun.
Can we get some more melee heroes in the game, Jeff?
Get some fights.
Would it be a sick region, sick country in Japan.
Find the unlimited combo on Doomfist, right?
Oh, like just Kaplan to do a video. He's like, we really wanted to make a hero that could be played with a fight stick. So, we're bringing this guy,
sick mechanics.
Sick mechanics, right? Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I think that brings a really interesting point. We are going to see such a different approach to the game going into BlizzCon this year. So a lot of these players and a lot of these teams really had to think about that in the long haul, right? Yeah. I mean, some could say Sweden made a mistake taking a Reinhardt main, but I'm kidding. You played phenomenal. But right, like, did you ever think about that as well? Like, getting ready for it, you're like, oh man, what could the meta be in like 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's always a topic of discussion. You want everyone to be diverse in their hero pool for sure. But we also looked at the current meta and we picked up Swoosh. I'm just talking, from the experience of being in Sweden now, because Swoosh was this really good Genji that we really needed in the team. But I think overall, I mean, all teams, you want to focus, you have your goals, right? Some teams have goals of getting out of groups, I mean, just fighting for a playoff spot. Some teams just have the pressure on their shoulders to automatically just qualify for BlizzCon. So it's about different goals and what your mentality is. As a team that's, for example, really fighting really hard and have to step up for this group stage, they might not consider the next meta so much, but they might focus on the dive meta we have here.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. You're thinking about what your goal is as a squad, and again, I hate to harp on it, but we brought up like Argentina before, and they were thinking about how that would work out as well. And James, I kind of want to get your thoughts here real fast, because we're talking about a super diverse team here in South Korea that could do anything. Do you think we're going to see some surprises in this matchup?
I mean, we already know what like the standard meta is, right? You've got the Diva and you've got the Winston coming out, but with Zumba and Mono being the core tank duo there, Zumba can flex off onto a really strong Zarya. I mean, he was, I think, the rank 1 Zarya in the world. Season 1, I believe he had a SR high of 92. That's before the SR changes came around. And then, of course, Mono. His Winston's great, but his Reinhardt's stronger, and that's why they brought him in.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this one plays out. It's going to be South Korea versus Austria. We know you guys are itching to get into the action, so we're going to send it over to your casters. It's going to be the one and only Uber and Mr. X. Look at them on the screen, so pretty.
Thank you very much. The voice of God there from Golden Boy. Now, they don't really have Uber X in Poland, but myself and Matt are going to take you guys on a ride through some fantastic Overwatch.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome to see. South Korea, obviously, the dominant force last year at the World Cup. Austria, though, they believe.
What do they believe?
They're going to hang in this match.
They're going to hang. That could be taken really badly.
Yeah, I told them yesterday, I was like, no, I kind of want you guys to win. They were like, do you think we're going to win? I told them, yes. But I don't know how confident I am.
Their official warm-up song is Boom 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 by the Venga Boys, so I'm behind that personally. I'm quite into that one. But South Korea as well, I mean, it wouldn't be the Overwatch World Cup without, in my opinion, the greatest region in the world representing right now. And this team is frightening. We'll get a chance to talk about it a bit more. The desk has already covered it though, Matt. It's going to be King's Row to kick us off.
Well, you talk about how dominant the team is. I mean, the MVP of the Overwatch World Cup, Miro, I mean, he's not even on this.
Right, so what world should we live in?
How strong of a lineup they are.
Exactly. What world do we live in when the MVP doesn't get the call up the next year? I don't know. Anyway, we're straight into it, though. And look at this composition. This is that... I don't even know what it is. They've even got a Hanzo here for Flower to try and break the point. Matt, this is insane.
Yeah, so something, we talked about a little bit, earlier pre-game, me and you, and, Johnny mentioned on the desk is, maybe you will see a little bit more of the Reinhardt out of South Korea, and that's really why you go with Mono as the tank. A nice pick there by Flower. But earlier in the fights, Kabaji taking out Samuel B on the McCree.
This is Season 2, Season 3 kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Use this Hanzo to get a lot of damage down, to really wear away the shields of the enemy, and to get those picks. It's very much just a pick comp with a huge front line. Even Samuel be there on the McCree. And the Koreans are giving us something a little bit special to start this off.
And it's so interesting, right? You're so used to playing against the dive. You're focused about all strategizing against the dive. they bring out something like this, and teams just don't know how to react, right? They start spreading out a little bit more. It's a lot easier to take this first point.
And we may never know, Matt, whether this is just them playing something cheesy or something they've been thinking about. But if you watch their preparation games, especially against Katowice here, this is a team composition that they tried to nail down. I don't know about the Hanzo. I didn't see that one in the lead-up, but still.
Well, that's why you put this team together, the roster of these 6 players, because they can play literally anything. So you can come out in any matchup and catch anyone off guard. And I think, you're going to get close to that Hanzo ultimate soon. Zumba working towards that Graviton. They have a lot of ultimates to work with right now as well. You have the Earth Shatter. See if that can come into play. And here comes the Graviton Surge. It's going to be 3 kills. Make it 4, 5, almost all 6. Yep, Icky, he'll stand there. He'll drop. That'll be a team wipe in favor of South Korea.
It's quite dangerous for Austria to really play in that manner. They're playing, of course, now with a Reinhardt and a Zaya themselves, so almost out of respect, they're very much emulating this particular team composition. And with this comp, you have to play fairly close up and try and use chokes. Think back to the old Mei and Reaper meta when you had those big shields and were able to get close to the enemy without taking damage. Unfortunately, what happens when a grab breaks you apart like that, there's no coming back. Austria, though, again, getting close to a grab. Icky's also got the tactical visor ready to roll.
Well, you do have the Flower Dragon Strike here. He'll come in. Gonna get some damage, not gonna take anybody out though. As you see, he's gonna get a scatter shot ready, gets a lot of damage on the players of Austria. Now you're gonna see South Korea start to push in. Everybody is just falling for Austria. Things could not be any worse.
This is unbelievable as well. Icky had a tactical visor, was shot down by Rujehong in that fight. On the Ana, sitting in the backline, so much damage down to Icky. I was wondering how long it would take for this to come out. He said he's a self-professed Widow main. What Sevens was like, yeah, we hope we're not going to have him play it too much. But it looks like Austria now scraping the barrel to try and find something to answer this from South Korea.
Well, the way he kind of described it is I'll go Widow, and sometimes I hit shots and I stay on it. Sometimes I don't hit shots and I have to switch. Sounds a lot like my Widow play at home. Sometimes I'm just snapping, I'm taking people out. Sometimes I just can't hit anything. And you do see it's Toby with the sound barrier ready. There comes the Graviton in from Austria, and they're going to try and push, take some players out.
There's slightly later sound barrier coming out from Austria here, but they've already lost Insonic. Super Bingo goes off the edge. That was never part of the plan. I'm not even sure how to happen. You saw him on the main screen. Sabio, he gets chunked fairly low. He's being forced back, I believe, by Icky and that SMG, but he gets a bit of space, and Flower comes straight into the fight. Scatterer claims What 7. There's so much damage available here for South Korea with this dynamic duo of DPSs, and there's a lot of ults. There's a grab coming up for South Korea as well.
And you see they're just able to back away from that fight with Austria, stay alive, and then they just come fire right on through. Sabio B does have the Deadeye ready. See when he's going to use it. What 7 trying to get back further up on the map, give his team some space with that Rhine shield to lead the charge.
There's been no answer to this Hanzo so far. How easy is it? The Widowmaker, they're sitting on the low ground, actually switch towards the Tracer, should I say, for Icky. Now Flower is at his volition just to get tons of free damage to the top side. Biting Grenade frantically thrown at the rest of Austria to keep them alive through the grab, but it wasn't enough healing. What 7 is purple, the Earth Shatter is just the icing on the cake now. Icky walks headfirst into an arrow from Flower. This is filthy.
And every team in the back is watching this, and they are now scared. This South Korean team, they didn't drop a map last year. They came in with the expectations to do that again. That is a statement there in map number 1 on the first half.
We jumped into this very, very quickly as well. Obviously, we cut to the game while they were already out of the gate, so there wasn't a lot of time to maybe discuss the team comps that we saw here. But the idea of bringing the Reinhardt and Zaya in now, obviously Zaya is getting to a point now where she's becoming back into the meta a little bit more. It's hard to escape. Yeah. She can't escape. You can't escape from her Graviton Surge. That's the idea. Even if you have mobility heroes like the Tracers, like the Genjis and stuff like that. But more importantly as well, being able to offer that shield to protect something like a McCree a little bit easier in the backline. Someone who needs a lot of babysitting in general. And Reinhardt feels fairly good going up against Diva and Winston, because he could sort of walk into them and get a lot of free damage. And we didn't see that there. Austria mirrored the team composition of South Korea eventually, but you can see the thought process behind it. We're taking a trip back to almost the triple tank meta, minus Roadhog.
Yeah, and I mean, you look, Ryan also pretty decent against Genji. No, Genji gets a little close. Ryan can definitely punish him with the hammer, but...
And he's been buffed as well, of course. 10% extra damage, and now the timings on his hammer swings are... I think it was 10% faster hammer swing, if I'm not mistaken. So that's pretty handy.
Yeah, so I mean, you see the South Korean comp there at the beginning. You don't know, I mean, we would talk about what they would do on defense. I don't think you have any clue. I mean, they could bring out whatever. We've talked to Flower a little bit. Maybe we're expecting the Junkrat. Maybe you see the Junkrat on this one. He was talking it up when we were doing the interviews.
Yeah, I mean, and if you really want to come back and try and develop an intellectual basis for that particular choice, you're probably going to struggle a little bit there. Obviously, Junkrat doesn't excel against Farah. He struggles a little bit against high mobility targets. But if the enemy team wants to try and play Reinhardt like Austria have been, then Junkrat can cause them a lot of problems. Ru Jae-hong there he's finding his own sense of transcendence in the corner there.
Yeah, he's just standing on top of a garbage can.
I'm trying to make it sound nice.
Icky maybe with the Widowmaker as well could cause some problems of Flower on the Junkrat, but excited to see Junkrat come into play.
Yep, there it is on defense. I mean, and he works so well around choke points, which is what South Korea want to try and make the most use of on this map, especially this first point, and just outside of the first point at that little archway. Icky's going to try and fly through, and Flower needs to respect this to a degree, but Ru Jae-hong doesn't. Sleep Dark connects.
The fact that he's able to do that cross map on a Widow, there's no fear from Jae-hong. As you see Flower, he's going to be able to take out Icky there with a mine from Junkrat. And you see, just trapping them inside of this staircase, the Junkrat can cause so much damage. It's exactly like you said, Mitch, trying to force Austria into some close chokes and then spam those Junkrat nades through and cause a ton of chaos.
Austria have willingly shipped themselves off to the abattoir there as well because they were trying to fight South Korea in those very close quarters. You saw the Flower had 2, maybe even 3 kills with that remote mine, throwing it out at his own volition here, setting up, of course, to capture anyone. A sleep dart or a trap like that one can give Flower an easy kill because he just throws a remote mine at the direction of the incapacitated target and will do tons of damage.
Well, look where Wat7's going on that Reinhardt, right? He's going towards that right-hand side of the statue, and that's where his team's following to, and that's probably the worst spot to be. And you see everybody falling. Icky, he's the only one up top on the Widow. So here's when Widow doesn't work, right? When you're trying to get picks for your team, your team is all falling, you can't really do much. Maybe you'll have to see him make a change next spawn.
Yeah, so Kabaji going to make the switch out towards Reaper here. He's hoping that South Korea really want to stand and deliver, but this doesn't actually give him a great option against Flower, who's more than happy to sit back and do damage from range. You can see Kabaji getting chunked down on the top there, and that is partly because of Flower just throwing these grenades one after another.
Well, I'm surprised you're not seeing them go for the Pharah. I mean, you can get Pharah against the Junkrat. Maybe you're able to make something happen. I think that would probably be the way to go.
Theoretically, yes, but Ru Jae-hong probably just 4-taps you on Pharah anyway. Look at that. Well. Remote one comes out. It's now going to fall down as well. And now Flower's chasing these kills, essentially. Reaper's in his way, but it doesn't matter. Flower happened to throw a grenade in here. And one of the few times in Overwatch history when a player teases a certain hero and actually refers to it by name and actually brings it out straight away.
It's just been dominance from South Korea at the beginning. You're going to see Icky. He's going to switch off the Widow, so he's going to go with Tracer. Try and apply a little pressure with the rest of his squad.
Yeah, but importantly, pressure on Mano. He's had a little bit too much freedom here. Wat7's got up, and the Graviton is going to be a 3-man pulse bomb from Saviolbi. Pretty comfortable there. Kabaji wasn't even in a position to get involved in that fight. He managed to pick off Zumba, and that was it. Saviolbi has been quite effectively keeping Wat7 on his toes, preventing him from being able to be safe behind that shield, or even more importantly, preventing his teammates from feeling like they can stand close to their Reinhardt, because a pulse bomb stuck to the Reinhardt, and you're trying to benefit from the shield, you're done.
Yeah, it's so difficult to play against, right? I mean, you get around the corner, you're going to go fast. Zumba comes in with that Graviton. It's going to be both tanks getting knocked to the ground. It'll be Sable be able to help out Mono take out Wat7, and you see just that barrier being put around the wall, allowing his teammates to get around it. Here comes the Junkrat tire over the wall. See if that ult gets anything. It looks like Sable will be killing everybody since Sodic's able to take the tire out. So not going to pick up anything with the Junkrat ultimate, but just look how far up South Korea is pushed up. They are not letting Austria get any position.
And Austria are no army of the dead, but this is probably the best door holding I've ever seen from teams at this particular level here.
Hodor was pretty good at holding the doors.
He wasn't bad. I think that Mano might be able to fill in for him next season, maybe get sick of that, wants another job. But Zumba's going to back away. He's about half on the grab, and now Austria having to place himself on the point to try and fight this one out. Zumba's going to get the nano boost there. He communicated that it was fully charged, so the damage was going to be a factor. The grab comes in, but no, Austria can't capitalize on it because Saviolbi takes down Kabaji before he can get those shots in.
Well, South Korea is winning those other team fights over by the choke, and they're not having to use any support ults, right? So the first time that you see Austria put pressure on, they dump a lot of ults into that fight. They're not able to make anything happen because you see the sound barrier come out.
If you ever see a Tracer get a pulse bomb kill on a Reaper, you must raise your eyebrows. Either Saviolbi was very good at identifying the timing that Wraithwalk was down, or Kabaji didn't realize or wasn't able to respond quickly enough there to put himself in that invulnerable state.
And this is going to be trouble for Austria because you do have the Graviton Surge ready for South Korea, and you have the Junkrat Tire as well. It's going to be a Death Blossom comes in from Kabaji and actually takes out Ru Jae-hong in Flower's ultimate ability as well. But Zumba and the rest of South Korea, they clean up Austria, and that should be map number 1.
All done and dusted there. Pretty strong showing from South Korea. That might be a bit of an understatement there, but it is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. The South Koreans do come out with that different kind of composition. Now, it seems as if the Austrian squad was prepared or willing at least to respond in time with some of these picks here, but you can just see how the inclusion of the Tracer on the side of South Korea meant that Wat7 never really had a chance to sort of be able to play comfortably. His team were also afraid to actually try and benefit to a great degree from the shielding. Katowice switching over towards that Reaper there, he knew that South Korea wanted to play up close in the chokes. He was hoping to actually get some damage done in that regard, but was not to be.
Yeah, and I think if you're Austria, right, I mean, we spoke to them a little bit. You can learn a lot from this matchup. You know, maybe there's some different things that South Korea is doing that you can throw on to your comps later in the tournament. And speaking of them, they were happy to just kind of get this match out of the way. I mean, in their group, you're obviously going to have to play South Korea. You get it out of the way in your first match, you go get some good practice against them, then you're better equipped to maybe go up against the Netherlands or Poland.
Well, first of all, it's a baptism of fire, which is a good start for Austria, there's no doubt about it. And they don't have to worry about it so much. It kind of sucks if, let's say, if you have to play South Korea last in your group and you drop like a map, you drop too many maps in some series, and all of a sudden you're like, well, we need to almost... Realistically here, guys, a lot of teams need to consider the South Korea series a write-off if they're going up against them. That's generally accepted amongst most of these guys, and you shouldn't even be expecting the South Koreans to have to flex their muscles maybe until the playoff stage. Maybe we do see like a team Russia or a Canada from the other group having to go up against them, and maybe, just maybe, they'll be pressured. I have heard good things from the Netherlands squad in their forays against South Korea so far, though.
Yeah, we heard they played them pretty tough. I know, you spoke to some of the guys from the Netherlands this morning. They said they had some very good scrims with South Korea, but I think you look, right? Austria gets this match out of the way. Maybe they play Poland tough. Maybe they play Netherlands tough. Then how much more pressure is it on Poland and Netherlands when they have to go up against South Korea, right? No, maybe they don't know they have to take a map, but they know they at least have to be competitive to vie for that second place spot.
And probably the most interesting facet of this match so far is worth considering is not that South Korea are playing this Reinhardt, Zarya, Junkrat composition. It's actually the fact that Austria are trying to emulate it straight out of the gate. You would really expect a team like Austria, with the practice they've had and the current meta the way it's been, to open up with a standard dive composition. So two things. Either they really respect the composition from South Korea and its ability to break dive, or they've been practicing it themselves. Maybe they've been watching South Korea and trying to, pull off the same approach as them.
I feel like this is a team that, they came in, they practiced a lot of dive, and maybe they heard some of the things that South Korea was doing. And I always personally, I just hate that when a team, they put so much time in, right? They practice the dive, they get really good at it. You practice another composition, you get really good at it. And then the other team brings something out, and you don't just try and like stick with your guns and at least try for a few pushes before you change up. You see they tried to go with the Rhine at the beginning. It did not work out for Austria. I would have liked to see them just stick to their dive. And map number 2 will be picked by Austria, and it will be Nepal.
Yeah, definitely a bit more of an interesting map, and maybe one where we see... I mean, crazy that we're talking about seeing variation when we've just seen a new composition from both of these two teams, something that's very different to what's being played currently in the meta. So that's worth bearing in mind. I probably want to see a little bit more how the cogs engage in this team comp. We saw a lot of brawling, we saw a lot of playing up close by the Korean squad there, and it's very much a case of use your ultimates at volition, make sure Flower has a bit of freedom in the backside to do damage. The problem with the approach that we saw from the Austrian team is that they couldn't really pressure Flower at all. They tried to play a Widowmaker to put him under pressure. Well, that didn't work. He got sleep darted straight away. Eventually he was forced to switch. Katowice as well as a Reaper. Your biggest weakness is getting into position to do the damage, and Flower was so comfortable in the backline. We'll see, but South Korea again, they want to summon his Hanzo, which is just insane. Obviously, getting picks is important in any fight. It gives you a huge advantage, but see Hanzo here is quite interesting.
Well, I mean, Icky is going to go with the Widow as well, so Widow obviously an interesting pick as well. Just see the damage being put down by Flower, but First Blood will be drawn by Austria as they're able to get Mana out of the question. And I would wonder, Katowice, maybe you have him run the Tracer, because Tracer can give Ryan a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I'd like to see a bit of pressure at least put in that direction there. South Korea likely know how to deal with it. Hanzo can blow up Tracer pretty quickly here, but most of the fight's been happening up on this top right side here. Flower's able to clean up pretty comfortably there. Sensotix and Uber Bingo not really able to stand up to it. And now this is what this comp does. Zumba's going to move forward here. Maybe get some free energy. There you go. He baits the shot from Icky there quite comfortably. So now we're sitting closer to 50. With this Reinhardt, this Zarya, this Hanzo, you want to stand up close to the enemy team, get a lot of free damage from behind the shield, and make it hard to get encircled.
Oh, well, just think about what happens. I mean, right? They push in, scatter out, Jaehong throws down a nade, and you're in a lot of trouble. It's just filthy.
Oh no, this could be disgusting. Dragon Strike coming through. Flower already catches Itzeru out with a bit. Look at Uber Bingo, he's purple. He got bite grenaded there as well. South Korea, a well-oiled machine, and we expect no less from them now. Sonic Arrow, just to see if there's any switches up here. This is about to get potentially depressing for Austrian fans.
Yeah, not good. I mean, you have coming up next, Zumba has that Graviton Surge. You have the Nano Boost if you want to use it, and so he does have that Tracer Pulse Bomb. So look to see Zumba and him buddy up, try and take out Austria before they can get even through this choke.
Katowice's on the Tracer. He can flank from that position. You can get around behind Flower where he is. That's the Graviton. Katowice trying to get to the back line now, but Saviobi, it's a quick double with the Pulse Bomb, and Ru Jaehong is going to be there to help clean up, and that is a macabre scene if I've ever seen one.
It's like Katowice is able to get around on the flank, but the rest of his teammates are stuck over at the doorway. Oh, it has not gone well for Austria at the beginning. But
And look at this.
they give a lot of free charge, man.
He just keeps topping up his
Yeah.
energy because he knows that Austria are going to try and poke him down. Because Austria are feeling behind in old economy. They want to get some of these ultimates going. And what's 7 wanted that Earth Shatter. Now he has it. And South Korea respect this. So they identified something that gives them pause for thought. But that's a huge Earth Shatter. Oh, it's carnage. Manu with the charge in. The Fire Strike cleanup Uber Bingo. And Sensonics was just left on his own there. Perfect positioning. Stepped back. Gave himself the sidelines. And I believe it was a sleep dart on towards Watt 7 that opened that up. Ruja Hong just put him out.
It is so crazy how fast he is with the sleep dart. You see the Rhine shield go down for just a second. The sleep dart comes in. A big Earth Shatter.
Oh my. Flower picks the head off of Icky there as well. It's just like an apple from the tree. And South Korea are going to take this first round here. And for Austria, definitely some questions. Kabachi has not had the chance to put pressure on the back line or even the Reinhardt of South Korea. South Korea are operating at nominal capacity because they're not being pressured into making mistakes. It's unlikely that we'll sort of see that happen too much from them anyway, but that's what Austria need to do. They need to pick them apart here because they are working as this death ball with so much damage potential. Something needs to be done.
Well, coming into the series, Kabaji, we heard about him, top 10 EU. We expected him to show up big, but just like you said, on the Tracer has not had the space to really make a big impact, right? When he's trying to go in, take out the Reinhardt, get into the back line, the rest of his teammates, they just push on forward. South Korea, they have the Graviton, they have the Earth Shatter, just take everybody out. He can't get anything done.
So the statistic in general, I think, if you win the first fight on a control point map, 69% of the time you're going to win that sub-map, right? And it usually takes only 3 to 4 fights. If you lose the first fight, you only have 3 to 4 chances to get back in control. Kabaji only had 2 fights. First one he got grabbed, second one he got Earth Shattered, and Bob's your uncle.
Well, you just see as well, the first kill is going to go in favor of South Korea here. You see Toby, take out Kabaji, Lucio versus Tracer. But it's also that the ability that South Korea is able to win these fights once they get control without investing a ton of ultimate abilities in, right? When Flower's able to get that first pick when we saw him playing the Hanzo, just using regular scatter arrows and regular shots, you don't have to invest that many ultimates in. You're able to save some when you see Austria pop all theirs.
And here's another interesting team composition for you, Matt. We've got McCree and Genji, a composition that you very rarely see, and of course still that Zai is present there for Zunba and Mano. So Rijong backing off there, doesn't quite connect the sleep dart, but Sabio was already found into it at the start of the fight. The strength of McCree is to pick off those squishy targets with big hitboxes from long distance, and the rest of the fight, of course, is going to snowball in South Korea's favor. Again, Austria have a maximum of 3 fights now to get some control. Kabaji switching over towards the Reaper.
And now you're building up ults for South Korea. So you have the Deadeye, right? If players start to come in, you can use it to zone them out. You're getting very close to the Dragon Blade and the Nano Boost. Sound Barrier just about to pop up for Toby. So you have a lot of ultimates to work with for South Korea. And here comes the Deadeye. Just trying to zone these players out, push them back a little bit.
Again, yeah, we're still called a zoning Deadeye, even though it's, the circles for the happy little skulls converge far quicker now. It buys time for South Korea. It forces Austria to sort of filter themselves through yet again. You can see Sensonics taking a lot of damage even by just trying to peek around. South Korea want to punish every positional error or slight mistake that Austria make, and now Sabiobi is going to have this flash ready. We'll see if he wants to get close. Not quite yet. Icky's already fallen though. The pickoffs are real.
Oh, and here comes the Dragon Blade. It's going to be Flower flying through one. Sees the Reaper waiting till he gets out of race form. Not able to take him out. Oh, there you go. Kabaji for the friendly hold.
The respect is so real. Kabaji's like, it would be an honor to get wrecked by you, Sir Flower. And he says, you do not deserve that honor. Backs away towards the point.
He's
That's
like,
BM.
all right, fine. He's like, I'll go kill him now.
Yeah, even not killing him is BM in that way, but it's by the by. 85%, Austria, last fight to come in. No ultimates to speak of. Maybe a sound barrier, but this could all be done. It's going to be the grab coming in. Earthshattering trying to get behind the shield. He did manage to do it, actually. Uber Bingo was laying on the ground. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far as Mano got very close to Kabaji.
Yeah, now you have Austria getting on the point here. Toby just going to run right through the Rhine shield. He's going to be able to take out Watt 7. You see the bar going down pretty quick. Everybody dead on Austria. That'll be a 2-0 here in map number 2 in favor of South Korea.
Yeah. Pretty straightforward cleanup here. And that, Matt, obviously takes us to the halfway point in this series. And South Korea really haven't seen too much resistance so far from Team Austria. And yes, a lot of these fights, especially on this control map we just saw in Nepal, were initiated by a pick for the Korean team. Sabio was like, oh, we're playing.
And you just see the versatility of this lineup, right? You see the Hanzo come out on Flower yet again. You've seen him run Junkrat in this series. Now you see him with the Genji. You've seen Sabio be running McCree. It's just a very, very scary team. Potentially even stronger than last year.
And look, again, realistically, it's very hard to make an academic assessment of the potential all the pluses and negatives of this team comp out from South Korea, because they are mixing it up to a great degree. I do want to hear a little bit from Reinforce in a moment to see he might be able to explain some of the intricacies of it, but again, we don't actually get to see those strengths and weaknesses revealed in any particular way because they're not being pressured. They're not being pressured to make mistakes. So Kabaji and Iki are making a lot of switches here. We've seen Widow, we've seen 76, we've seen Tracer, we've seen Reaper. No success thus far, and Matt, we're going to have to see if there's a recovery after the break. But for now, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be getting back to the desk to break down the half-time situation here between South Korea and Austria.
Death has ravaged our world, and the balance that sustained us has been lost. We feared this day would come when the lands are ruined and the champions of the light can no longer save those in need. But I will. For I wield the power they cannot. And a new army of the dead shall rise at my command. All who threaten the balance, beware.
The Overwatch World Cup 2017 is brought to you by Omen by HP, T-Mobile, and Blizzard Entertainment.
Ladies and gentlemen, there were children watching that game. And, you know, the sad reality of it is I hope parents at home had covered the eyes of those children so they didn't see what had took place. Or if you're trying to get better at Overwatch, you let them watch it. So, hey, Zumba, best friends because Zarya, you know? Happy about that. That was dope. Thoughts?
I'm just in so much pain right now that I find it hard to articulate it. I was happy to see Sensotics on Zarya, his main. He likes it. Iki got to play Widow. He loves Widow. So I guess that's two positives. Like,
Kabaji.
Get out of it. Kabaji actually
did
yeah,
play.
but the issue is like, okay, so Kabaji gets some kills. What 7 might have been able to follow up, and then the whole team is dead, and where to go from there, right? So they just never really. Kabachi never has been given this space by his team to actually really do the work he would have liked to do. It's very unlucky, the whole game. All of this was very unlucky.
Again, it's about just getting it out of the way first, right?
Yeah.
This is the biggest hurdle in the group, getting...
They laughed afterwards.
Yeah, they were really high spirits afterwards.
Yeah,
and
I think they liked it.
That's the approach you have to take, really. You can't beat yourself up when you do have the heavy favorites as your first opponents here. But, I mean, we saw some great play coming out from Korea, and we saw the versatility that we were talking about. And this is, you know, when you build a computer, you talk about maybe trying to, like, future-proof it. And this is what South Korea has done with their roster, future-proofing. They can bring out any kind of composition that they want, and they showed it with particularly Flower, just flexing on 3 separate heroes over the course of 2 maps. Yeah.
Do you think they're practicing for BlizzCon?
Yeah, this is practice game.
I don't know.
I don't even know. Like, I mean, you got to deal with them,
dude,
if they get there. So
error 404, analysis not found. I don't know. I don't know what to say, man. No, I think that I don't know about Austria bringing the Ryan Zarya up versus them. They're just playing South Korea's game. Flower just playing Hanzo. I don't think he died once. I'm not sure. Let's just say he didn't die once. But you want to pressure that backline. I mean, you're just letting Sunba and Mono on the Ryan and Zarya. They're just standing there and you're not getting past them. If you go for like a Winston and Genji, maybe you can shut down the real damage behind South Korea's lineup. Maybe shut down Selby on the McCree. He was playing occasionally, and Flower on the Hanzo. But instead, you just let Flower just pull off highlights like this pretty much throughout the game.
The issue with Austria is just also they don't. I mean, they are known for running double hit scan with this lineup. They don't really have a good Genji player. Do you really want to put someone on Genji who's not excelling at it, perfect at it? If you go up against South Korea, yeah, but no.
I mean, I hate to be that guy, but you might as well.
I mean, we have seen Dive, you know, devolve into like 2-2-2, where you have a Tracer, Winston, and then a 76 and Diva, right? So they could opt for that. The issue is just that it's a multi-pronged threat coming out from South Korea, right? Even though if you can get into the back line, Ryu Jae-hong, we saw even throughout the series, he was landing really clutch sleep darts on the primest of targets. And how do you deal with that kind of pressure?
He landed a sleep dart across the whole map.
Oh, yeah, onto the Widowmaker on Kingsway. I forgot about that.
Oh, Sluck. That was I'm playing for Team Sweden. I'm not going to hype up this South Korea team too much.
Does that make you worried at all?
No.
Seeing this? No? Okay.
He's going to beat him.
Oh, okay.
Easy game.
He said it right there. The camera should be on me. He's making no statement.
Gauntlet thrown down.
Bring at it. Bring at it.
Okay.
I'm going to so pay for this. Like, this is a bad idea. I don't know.
We're going to bring that up and play it on repeat.
Bring it up over and
I don't know where it came from. Just a Freudian slip. I don't know.
Look, here's the truth of the matter. I mean, look, that was brutal. That was very, very tough to watch. You know, if you are a fan of Austria, but I think everyone kind of knew going into this that South Korea were going to be very strong. They were going to be a very dominant team, and without a doubt, I think this is just further refines and proves that point. But now, guys, we are ready to get back into the action. It's going to be the pick of Austria here against South Korea. We'll see if they can make anything happen, or with South Korea, just keep letting the good times roll on. Uber X, over to you.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. And Johnny, I don't know what a Frodan slip is, mate, but I don't think you got the right color jacket for that one, bro.
I just imagine Tavik at home just shaking his head like, wow.
Why have I dragged this guy kicking and screaming during Overwatch?
Because Tavik is like, it's actually my problem now. Johnny's just going to stand there and be the meat shield.
Exactly, and everyone's going to be on Reddit. It's like, Tavik, you know,
he
all
couldn't
this
get
press
it done.
talk, he thought he could beat the Korean squad. Well, that's by the by, Matt, but let's have a look at the standings right now. Obviously, these, well, you know, if you want, maybe we'll just turn it off. That's fine. Let's have a look at the map, though. That's even more exciting.
I'd rather look at the map.
It's got prettier pictures, in my opinion. It still has the flags there, South Korea and Austria, but Volskaya Industries is going to be the next map. So Austria, having lost the first two, they will be probably choosing the rest of the maps in this series. If I'm honest with you, Volskaya to our third.
Volskaya with this really close choke. I don't know why they didn't go for like Horizon Lunar Colony. It's a little bit more open, right? They would have given themselves a little bit more space maybe to operate on the offensive end, maybe make something happen. I see Symmetra out.
Yeah, I see Symmetra. I hope that's not a thing. That's a meme from last year, actually.
Yeah.
I think it was Tyrong. I want to say it was Tyrong that played Symmetra. No, okay, so Ryu Jae-hong is going to play the Ana, which is pretty frightening. Austria on the defense. They're going to be having a Sombra here as well. We don't know too much about how they work with the Sombra. Itaru is going to have a go at that one, but they're playing with a single support as a result.
So yesterday when we did the interviews, they said they were not comfortable playing the Sombra. So I think one way to get comfortable is you try it out here against South Korea, right? You practice it a little bit more here in an actual game. See if you can make it work for you.
That's not a thing at all, mate. That is not a thing. Austria playing a dive composition, though, so they switched away from the Reinhardt Zarya. South Korea still have Zunba on that Zarya here, and they are just going to force their way through on towards Austria. They circle around, take the high ground, and Austria, again, just acquiesces and comes forward towards South Korea. Fights in this small space without an Ana, by the way. And Ryu Jae-hong just gets a huge body grenade, and the cleanup is real.
Yeah, it's a tough one. First point will go to South Korea very fast. You see some switches being made here from Austria. You'll have Icky go over to the Reaper, see if that works a little bit better as we go to the second point.
Okay, so Reaper, yeah, and perhaps a little bit of anti-Zumba here as well. It's okay if Zarya's shielded up, just to try and burst that shield down and remove her as quickly as possible. So Icky will try and play up close to that. The composition, I'll be honest with you, is pretty weird from Austria, but now EMP is laid down. South Korea without their abilities for the moment. Manos now just has to back away a little bit, but Flowers doing the damage for him. He's down to 60 HP, and the man, the Houdini, of course, is going to get away. He even gets some healing there from Ryu Jae-hong. That should probably not have happened, but it is the getaway plan, and Mano knows exactly what he's doing.
And they just back off a little bit when the EMP comes in. They're able to sustain through it. Flower able to demech Diva, and they push right on in. It'll be attack visor coming in. There goes Sombra. South Korea on the point, getting very close to taking point B. There'll be a contest from Kabaji. The sound barrier comes in for South Korea. They should be able to hold on and take this.
And it's about stalling for as long as they can. Graviton Surge being used, Flower with 3. They're behind the wall, of course, was Icky hiding up on that May pick, but it's not enough. It's not remotely enough And Sebiolbi, you know, getting a bit of a workout in there as well. These guys are definitely feeling comfortable coming through. And that was a strong performance there. We saw a lot of switches from this roster here from Austria. They're very ready to make changes in their team composition. I appreciate the acumen of being able to identify sort of what the best approach is, but when you don't have a chance to actually use ultimates because you're switching heroes so much, it can be very, very hard to get yourself back into a game after you sort of get broken in a fight.
Yeah, I do think, though, trying out the Sombra, right? I mean, you can see how it goes on that first point. You know, they try and play off that mega health pack. It doesn't work out to the, the best. I mean, they just get kind of wiped from there. But maybe now they go in, they go back and work on it, right? Like, what could we have done out of that position to give ourselves a better chance? Then you come back in your next matches and you can actually play Sombra a little bit better.
Yeah, you make a decent point. I think even spotting out the Sombra here for South Korea, they probably would have guessed that, right, they're going to try and play in the garage around that mega health pack here. We're going to take the fight to them. We're going to force them to engage. Otherwise, they have to give up that hacked mega and all that potential ult percentage for the Sombra here. So, well, yeah, you know, this is not a drill. It's a hammer. And a Flower, of course, going to be representing here on the Torbjorn.
Everyone loves a little Torb in their life.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot to be said for this guy. I'm not going to use an academic justification for this pick here. I don't think that's going to make much sense. I'm getting motion sick as well. Thank you, Flower. He'll set up, he'll put a turret outside the point, try and get some early ult percentage accrued by that. Then he'll build a new one closer back towards the point. Austria with the classic quick play, Widowmaker and Hanzo comp. Interesting to see if they open with that one. I'd say not.
Yeah, maybe Kabaji goes over to the Tracer. I mean, he's been able to get into position, just not finish off kills. That's really what it's been about. I mean, he's been able to get in that position when his teammates go to try and follow him up. They can't get through the chokes.
I'm told also that Sensotics is a big Zarya aficionado here, so it's not necessarily that Austria were purposely copying South Korea so far with that Zarya pick, but more because Sensotics is very comfortable on it. He didn't get much done. Okay, he didn't get anything done with D.Va in that previous half, so now for Austria, it's go with what you're comfortable with. And it looks like it might be the double sniper rollout here from Iki and Kabaji. I see this more often than I'd like to in quick play. Let's see if it works out here for Austria now. It's all about getting those picks.
You see South Korea just baiting them onto the point. They have that Torbjorn turret over by that mega health pack inside the staircase. So you can see the position Flower's playing from. They're going to bait them onto the point, and that Torb turret's going to do a ton of damage.
Now, Flower just sitting out towards the side now. Bubble is placed up in the middle of the map. And Zumba and Mano are taking a lot of damage here. These snipers are finding their marks, but eventually once South Korea decides to get aggressive on those snipers, that's what happens. Toby chased down Iki, and I was able to pick him up. You can see inside the room, Mano just getting healed up and now ready to jump back into the fray.
Well, just look how worried Austria is about coming around that corner. You know, you have Sabo-B playing up top on the Tracer, just doing a little bit of poke damage. It's not allowing those snipers to get in those positions around the corner to take out the supports of South Korea. It's a very interesting strategy, but working here early.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. They're obviously afraid of the Torbjorn pick here for Flower.
They are
in the underside. But they're giving him a lot of ult percent as well, but they're not pushing around the corner. Once they eventually commit to the fight, they're going to be face first into the turret, which could be quite nasty. Nano boost being used there. Zumba going quite low early in the fight, and Toby now has to kind of catch up with the rest of his team. South Korea go for an aggressive pick, and again, you must do this. 2 snipers on the enemy team means that you have to dive on them. And South Korea, as you can imagine, are more than happy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't able to get space for your Tracer. It's going to be very hard to get space for Hanzo and Widowmaker to try and make a play.
The fact that they're playing double support and Torbjorn is ridiculous. You just never see it happen. Sometimes your Lucio player will play Torbjorn. You have an Ana if you want to play on Hollywood or on Numbani. There's no decent justification for this pick from Flower.
Well, usually you see Toby run the Torbjorn, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, seeing Flower run it, playing those 2 supports, it's very rare. So we'll see if Austria can get back in, make something happen. They're getting very close to Primal Rage. You have that nano boost as well. Maybe you're able to get on the point and cause some commotion, make something happen.
Maybe they want to go for a Dragon Strike Graviton Surge combo as well. They might just want to try and break South Korea. Down with that, but Iki challenges out Sabiomi, tries to go straight towards him. Is cut down in the process. Flower backs away, almost has that Molten Core ready for his turret. He's waiting for that extra 1%. I don't know if he got it. No, he didn't get to use his Molten Core in that fight at all. His turret is taken down, but Mano's found 2 kills over on the point, and Zumba has his self-destruct.
Yeah, he was so close to getting the Molten Core, but believe it was Watson able to take out the turret. Here comes Austria getting on the point. They have a lot of ultimates. You see Zumba, he's going to use that D.Va ult, try and push it down onto the point. He's going to come back in his mech, just putting in a lot of damage here onto Uber Bingo. You take out the Lucio, that's a big kill.
That's pretty big, yeah. I mean, Sensotic's going down now. Wat7's going to be chased down and picked up, and one thing I want to point out here is that your mech as D.Va counts as another entity in the game until it self-destructs after you've ejected from it. If you've ever trolled your teammates by, sort of nudging them slightly by moving your model and colliding with theirs and clipping on them in game, you can set that up with D.Va like we just saw there from Zumba. Puts it on the edge, a couple nudges just like you would try and knock that Widowmaker off the ledge at the start of that quick quick play around, and it actually lets him sort of change the position of his self-destruct when people already expect it to be on the high ground.
Well, right. In the heat of the action, you see that self-destruct on top of that little platform. You're
so
like,
where do you go?
Good.
You go underneath in the room, and that, you would have died if you'd been caught by that.
And it's going to be Flower with the Molten Core. The Graviton comes in from Austria. A few bullets to the face of Sensonics is all he needs.
He's nano boosted and has a Molten Core. This is unbelievable. Flower's just going to charge stage 4 when he fights What7 and Kabaji.
What do you do?
What? Nothing.
What
I mean,
do?
that is the 2017 Symmetra play that we saw from South Korea last year. So Flower's just playing whatever he feels like here in South Korea. It is definitely a display of power. There's 15 seconds left here for Austria to even get a scratch on this first point.
Austria, I mean, they push in, they get a nice Graviton, they trap him over by the Mega Health Pack, and they push in, they get Molten Core nano boosted down by Flower. You see he's hiding around the corner, trying to just pick one player off as they get a little bit too aggressive, coming alone towards the point.
The fact that we're talking about, crouching turret hitting Torbjorn is just a thing in itself. He found Icky as well. Bomb was dropped there. I think it was shielded out, so Ubingo's able to stay alive, but it doesn't matter. Austria weren't even on the point. Flower again featuring with another kill, and South Korea look as placid as you like. And a dominant performance that we all would have expected here. Notice also that Jaehong plays on a raised surface is what he's sort of used to using. Yeah. So there's actually a platform on his desk where he puts his mouse. He uses his wrist bent at a 120-degree angle when he sort of plays. And if you know, he has quite a low sensitivity. So it's a very unique setup for him, and at least they've been able to sort of, I guess, try and emulate or simulate that setup here in Katowice, and there was Ubingo eyeing down the camera. He knew that things were going to go this way. There's a certain sense of inexorability for a team like Austria going up against South Korea.
Yeah, I mean, Austria, Ubingo specifically, when they were kind of coming through the back.
Quick, make a face for the camera.
Yeah, they were extremely, happy, good spirits going into the match. They knew it was going to be a very difficult task going up against South Korea. They kind of accepted that coming into this one. South Korea's been dominant, and Jaehong, I wish he could just kind of, go in the future a little bit. His wrists, when he's like 30,
yeah,
gonna feel awful.
I mean, I don't really know that. I'm not really well learned in ergonomics there, but that probably can't be a great thing for you in general. So at this point now, last map's going to be Escort. Austria obviously can only get a maximum of one map in this series. It's likely that they sort of won't get that one at this stage. But one thing about South Korea that's quite crazy is that you'd think of them very serious, and very driven to win, and they are. But what impresses me so much is that they also have a lot of fun with it. So they sort of say to each other, like they were sort of messing around. I think it was talked about on the desk that, they sort of gave up a point and their coach or one of the players said, all right, guys, settle down. Like we shouldn't be letting this happen. But while they're still displaying this incredible mechanical prowess and strategic insight, they're also laughing and carrying on and having a good time.
It's important to have fun. Right? I mean, we've heard, seen stuff in show matches where, they'll go back to the spawn, everybody will change heroes, come on back out again. This team just has a lot of fun playing together. They know how good they are, how diverse they can be in their hero pool. You see them showing it here in their first match against Austria.
Now, of course, Flower on the far right of the screen. I think the youngest player representing here. There's actually, crazily enough, right, the coach of Luxury Watch Blue, who's not on the committee or anything, but he's here actually as Flower's legal guardian to allow him to sort of travel like that. So he's sort of here helping Flower and sort of supporting him, and must be kind of nice to have your coach there as well. I don't really know how much Flower's going to be put through the ringer in terms of the opposition he goes up against, but there's a very strong sense of support amongst the Korean crew. I mean, I believe there are fans in the crowd, and I could be wrong, but they're here obviously supporting the South Korean team. They may have even come all the way from Seoul. I wouldn't be that surprised. Their fans are crazy invested.
Extremely dedicated. The last map in this series will be Dorado. I think, South Korea, we see them go on. They make it out of this group, obviously, looking like they potentially, obviously, take first place. Maybe you see a rematch of last year's final going up against Russia. Maybe you see a very strong Canada team this year play them. I think that's where they could potentially be tested.
It's quite funny, actually, because if we talked to the South Korean squad, and that was sort of very humble, as you would expect, very polite. They also said they feel like there'd be even less resistance from teams like Russia and such this time around.
I don't know.
Whereas teams like Russia are like, oh yeah, look, I mean, we think the South Korean squad is maybe not as strong as last year, or where it's stronger. So big words. And look, I don't want to sort of throw anyone under the bus here as well, but basically both teams are feeling confident if that rematch is going to come around, which is very possible in the event that Canada beat Russia in a deciding game in the other group. We'll get to that kind of theory crafting later on, but for now, we're on Dorado. Austria's team composition here again is featuring that Zarya and the Reinhardt combination, a defensive Widowmaker. That's definitely, that's raising my eyebrow. It doesn't take much to get me to do that in general, but this is, an interesting approach.
I feel like the defensive Widow is like the perfect target. Like if you are one of the guys in South Korea, maybe going on a dive, maybe it's your Flower, right? Her Stable B trying to get behind the back line. As soon as you see that Widow up top and you're able to jump on her, that is probably a great target to go at first, and we'll see what South Korea does. Don't know if this will be it, but
honestly, like at
we've
this
seen
stage,
everything. I would not be surprised. Usually, I just kind of wait until it starts. Okay, they switch off of the Bastion, but you will see the Junkrat here, at least at the start on offense.
that building is a very common spot for aggressive defenses to set up there with Winstons and Divas and the like. So he's just scouting that out earlier on to see if he got any hit markers. Mano gets bursted down very quickly, but is able to back away. Initially, that was Kabaji doing a heck of a lot of damage inside that choke. However, South Korea will advance unhindered so far. Sabielby gets a quick burst of healing back. And South Korea ready to rumble once again.
We'll see. Now I usually see the Junkrat on defense, right? Just spamming the choke. Now you're
Misfits
seeing
used
it
to
on
play
offense.
this a lot on defense, actually.
Yes, and now you're seeing them just back up the side of Austria. The Junkrat doing a phenomenal job, putting down so much damage. You see that Rhine shield break in, the mine, sending Zarya flying. Looks like Toby slept on the car here for South Korea. He's going to be able to get up with his life. But you see how low they have Wat7 in that corner. You think maybe his shield's dropped as well. He's in a tough spot.
Yeah, of course, because how can you keep your shield up when it's constantly being pummeled by Flower? You're taking so much damage every second, and you need to be far more judicious with it when you actually use that shield itself. It finds Flower, though. That's what Austria are trying to do with the Widowmaker, to pick off the Junkrat. But here, it might not win them the fight. Zumba's going to get nano boosted here. He's got a Graviton if he requires it, and South Korea won't be stopped here.
Yeah, it'll be kills coming in from South Korea. I thought that fight actually may have gone Austria's way at the beginning. South Korea just too strong. You see the nano boost come in, the Graviton surge as well. They do have Primal Rage and Deadeye for the next fight, but it'll be South Korea getting that first point here on Dorado.
Yeah, all the good stuff available. The fight started well for Austria. Iki managed to find the pick, but after the fact, he didn't seem to be able to make too much of an impact here. Again, he's getting a lot of damage done, but he's not completing kills. He's allowing South Korea to gain ultimate percent for Ru Jae-hong and Toby by doing all this healing. If you're going to get damage done, you're going to get these little picks. Make sure you can guarantee and secure kills. If your body's showing a lot as Widow, if you're not getting critical hits, you're not really having the impact you'd like to. All you're really doing is charging up your own recon visor.
And how hard is it for Kabaji probably, right? I mean, you're trying not to get hit by the Junkrat spam. Then you know Sabielby is back there as McCree. You're not trying to run into his flashbang, so really taking a lot of the lanes he can go in away from him.
Now Flower now just a lone man on the payload, but look at this. No, everyone's filtered into this small little gap, and Flower's going to drop a remote mine down. Point blank, he's more than happy to let the grenades go, because guess what? He's not affected by them anymore. He jumps over the Earth Shatter. I'm not sure what happened there. He seems to avoid most of the damage, and Flower continues his reign of terror. There's a heck of a lot of damage through there, and off-camera Sabielby's getting the picks on Sensonics and Itero. This will be South Korea continuing on unhindered through this second phase. We're now hitting one of the most treacherous parts of the map for attacking teams. You can be held here, but I'd be very surprised if that were the case for the South Koreans.
Yeah, and Kabaji uses his Pulse Bomb during that fight, doesn't get anything for it. He has to back all the way out. Siaki go off of the Widowmaker, gonna go with the 76. So trying to put a little bit more consistent damage down on the South Korean team, but they have had no answer for the Junkrat play of Flower. You see South Korea just pushing on forward. Here comes the Deadeye. It's just popped for a little bit. Now he's going to have to back out. It was Kabaji putting a lot of pressure on his Sabielby, but you see everything in the feed going in favor of South Korea. Wat7 swinging his hammer. He's getting pushed back. No chance of him getting towards the payload. Uber Bingo, yep, you're going to fall as well. It's just so dominant, Mitch.
Right, it is. It's getting ridiculous by this point. So Sabielby as well on that McCree. You notice he keeps himself quite safe in this position. Cancel the Deadeye. That's because Iki jumped off the high ground on Soldier 76. Was so intent on trying to shut him down. We're sort of discussing over a lot of this gameplay, ladies and gentlemen, because it's essentially Austria being staggered out, and sort of we're waiting for them to try and regroup at this stage. Kabaji needs to be very careful. It's very tough to get in on Sabielby, and it's easier than you'd think to get caught out by a Junkrat as a tracer. If you get trapped, you can't recall out of that one. If you fall into just one grenade, you're almost dead. It's very, very dangerous, and you need to pick your routes of approach very carefully. Kabaji has a pulse bomb here. He needs to nail this one.
Needs to make something happen with it, and he's going to take out Mina. So big kill there from Kabaji, taking out the Winston of South Korea. It's going to be the Graviton Surge coming in, though. There's a lot of players stuck inside. It's going to be Sabielby taken out too with the Deadeye. It's going to be a nano-boosted Zumba as well, putting down a ton of damage. He finds that support here. It's going to be Itzaru going down. And they know exactly where the Tracer's going. A big Earth Shadow coming out from Wat7. There'll be a barrier, though, keeping the teammates alive as the payload keeps on moving forward for South Korea.
Yeah, and that was Flower there letting off a point-blank Riptire, I think, over towards Wat7. But South Korea being forced to retreat for possibly the first time in this match. Austria managed to establish themselves here. Ultimate-wise for South Korea, there's not a whole lot. Actually, sorry, no, the Riptire is still available for Flower there. that icon was him getting a kill after he'd fallen. It was this sort of martyrdom, as you call it in other games. So he has a Riptide ready to use. I'm kind of curious to see how he wants to make this one work for him. There's a lot of damage potential given how closely Austria have to be sort of packed on this part of the map, on the high ground especially.
Maybe Austria can make something happen in this fight, right? They have the Graviton Surge, they have the Tac Visor, you're going to get another Pulse Bomb as well. So you have a lot of good ultimates. Sound Barrier coming up here too. So you have a lot of ultimates to use here. If you're Austria, maybe you can get another hold.
Again, that Pulse Bomb for Kabaji's back again. Last time we managed to find Manu with it, now he could get even more. Graviton is being used by Sensonics here. Doesn't look like he's caught a whole lot in there. In fact, South Korea willingly dive into that one. The Sound Barrier was there for Toby. That's going to keep them alive a little bit longer, but they committed themselves to being all strung together and done up with a bow, and Austria had enough damage ultimates to capitalize off that one. There will be another hold here in South Korea. Again, want to charge some ultimates. Flower has now made a respectful switch to the Soldier 76.
Yeah, and Icky uses his Tac Visor there. He's only able to get one kill with it, but it just pushes him so far back. That's where you really miss the D.Va to have that defense matrix push on through. And see Zumba, he's actually going to pop his Graviton. It'll be 3 players stuck inside it. They all fall. And now you think South Korea, they do such a good job at extending these fights. It's a full team fight in favor of South Korea. Now they're going to push on forward towards the Austria spawn. So right there, you thought Austria was going to be able to get another team fight win. They just kept backing up, backing up, backing up. Such a good job stalling that fight out.
There's one chance here for Austria to get to the payload. Kabaji has to try and throw himself at it there, and it just wasn't going to be enough. South Korea do finish the map with a decent amount of time left. And if you notice that last fight, you could see that it was actually forced. South Korea said, okay, well, at least someone, I believe the shot caller, maybe even Ru Jae-hong at that point, you saw him deliver the nano boost to Zumba while Zumba was actually backpedaling out of the door towards the outside of the map. So it's quite clear to see that South Korea had identified, okay, Austria have now extended a little bit too far. They give the nano boost towards Zumba. He's about half charged, so he's still doing a lot of damage. And then Ru Jae-hong catches Wat7 in the lower corridor with a sleek dart. Instant pick off, and then they followed up there with a string of kills that were staggered out to such a degree that even once Austria had respawned, there was only enough time for Kabaji to briefly dip his toe on towards the point. The rest of the team just couldn't get there.
And that's a perfect example of what a lot of the other teams told us, going against South Korea, about how good they were of taking advantage of your mistakes. They see them push up a little bit too far, and they keep everybody alive, back out just a second. Sleep Dart comes in. As soon as it comes in, you see the Graviton come in from Zumba. It's all the kills in favor of South Korea. Austria's never even to get back towards the payload.
And also we did see Flower being forced to make the switch there with Junkrat, and much the same way as it is for Xayah sometimes. If you want to operate on multiple levels, or if you're on a low ground and you want to interact with players on the high ground, it can be somewhat hard to do without exposing yourself to them, by sort of walking up to them. So switch to 76, it's a bit more respectful, but you can see the impact of this Junkrat. If you don't have the ability to pressure him out, to dictate his positioning, to jump on him, to give him a Discord orb, or any of the above, then the damage potential he has is the highest in the game.
Yes, I mean, he just causes a ton of chaos. I mean, just the spam of grenades into chokes just keeps pushing you back, pushing you back, pushing you back. Especially then you're going to play Rhine, so now your shield is down. You don't have that protection for the teammates. And then you're in a lot of trouble.
He feels the role of what we used to see Roadhog in these triple tank comps. It was all about breaking the Reinhardt shield first, and Roadhog was very good at doing that from long range and even getting up close to the left click. Now Junkrat is fulfilling that sort of role here, and Austria coming out with potentially something a little bit different here. They've got a Mercy Bastion approach with a Reinhardt on the payload. It is cheesy, but we love a bit of that here in Katowice.
See if the Bastion Reinhardt strat. At this point, you pull out just about anything, and see South Korea, they see the Bastion, they're going to back up a little bit. See if the nades from Flower can get anything done. Now they send the D.Va up to try and protect, so you have the D.Va defense matrix and the Rhine shield. It's a kill there on the Zumba. He pokes out a little bit too far, so Austria gets first blood in this first fight.
So I need to point out that all of Austria's healing resources being dedicated to Icky, and then when you get bionated like that, you've got two players that their main job is to heal up your Bastion that are getting nothing done. Bastion is so susceptible to South Korea's composition because of Anna and because of Junkrat. It's not a good pick for Austria. It was never going to work against his composition, even in a conceptual sense. And Austria are going to have to go back to the drawing board. And they've even had Kabaji staggered out by Sabiolbi. That's going to hurt.
Yeah, I mean, once the matrix goes down and once the shield is broken, there's nothing they can do to protect Bastion. Yeah, he's going to have a tough time moving around in that street. So, trying to get set up, but not going to happen.
And this is what Sabiolbi wants to do. He wants to harass here, come from a couple of different angles and put pressure on these squishing targets. Manu hits Kabaji. I think he actually dashed straight into a fire strike. Manu gets double the money for nothing, and now Iki's going to get chunked out. Sabiolbi walks up to him here. The Korean team don't have to offer respect because they've not been forced to. They're going to come forward and deliver the damage and have no fear about the consequences.
Kabaji probably thinks he's safe as soon as he gets to the side of Sabiolbi. McCree gets out of the way. He walks right into a flame strike from Rhine. And now you have both tanks here getting staggered for Austria. You see there, Wat7 trying to get out with his life. He is so weak, trying to keep that shield up. He's going to make it out with his life, but you do have the Mercy Res maybe coming into this one. You're going to have to get everybody grouped up if you're Austria. You see, Save will be, oh, nice save there.
Good. That's what we need to see.
Yeah, D.Va flying in. It's going to be Sensonics eating that up. And you hear the Bastion ult coming through. We'll see if Austria can make something happen. It's going to be 2 kills with the D.Va bomb. Wat7 going to be able to get 1. But here comes another Earth Shatter out. It's going to be Wat7 knocking down 1. South Korea fighting back.
Yeah, you know what? The biggest part of that fight for Austria wasn't even the Bastion that got nano boosted. It was a D.Va bomb that was placed really nicely by Sensonics. His last couple of minutes has been fantastic. But Saviobi there, no fear. Happy to challenge down Itza even after he got by and grenaded. Now he'll chase for more. Look at that dink on Kabaji. Forces an instant recall, and that's a timing that South Korea will be keeping in the back of their heads. It's very important to know when the enemy tracer doesn't have a recall available, when you can just throw burst damage in. To force that out before the fight starts is very, very, very fortuitous.
And Austria uses a lot of ultimates in that fight, Mitch. Now they're only down to the Mercy Res. It's a nice flame strike there onto Wat7, so you get the Rhine out of the way. I think maybe you switch off the Rhine. You know, when you have that Junkrat just putting down so much damage, there comes in the Mercy Res. You got to try something a little different.
Oh, that Graviton not really connecting with where someone would have liked it. I think he tried to do it from up on the high ground there, but it didn't catch the people that just got rezzed up by Uber Bingo. Still, I mean, you know, it's by the by at this stage. This is aggressive positioning for a McCree, by the way. If you're watching at home and wondering if this is the done thing, it's really not. Saviobi generally, a McCree needs a little bit of babysitting, but he knows he's confident. He can come forward. He's going to hit the headshots. He's going to get those flashbangs. He's got a little bit of an escape inside that dodge roll, and you can see Kabaji getting taken down by Zumba. Matt, this is a bloodbath. We expected no less. I said a macabre scene earlier on here. I wouldn't even want this hung on a wall in a dungeon. It's so hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Iggy gets a pick there on Widow now. Going back to the trusted Widowmaker pick as he's able to take out Saviobi, and it's going to be an Earth Shatter. And you just turn your head as soon as you saw that happen. It's not going to go well for Austria here as the player is just trying to walk into the choke, getting caught up inside of it.
And you can see Flower there as well, dealing with the flankers in the backline. Not normally the job of the Junkrat, but this time he's taken it upon his shoulders with aplomb. He has a Riptire ready, and this is going to be the explosive finale to this match that we all expect. You can see Kabaji doesn't even want to come forward. It's a zoning Riptire, and it actually does the job pretty well. South Korea have held pretty comfortably there on that first point on this map. Their goal, I believe, coming into the World Cup was not to lose a point. Last year it was not a map, and I believe they may have even succeeded in that so far in this series.
I mean, maybe that's just too much pressure. I think not dropping a map would be excellent, obviously, just like last year.
They want to go one better.
Yeah, they want to come to the World Cup and dominate, show why they're the best country in the world at Overwatch.
Brutal, savage, Trekked. South Korea are looking as dominant as we all expected them to. Let's head back over the desk now with Golden Boy and a crew to try and find any remains of Austria amongst the debris.
All right, well, thank you so much, Uber and Mr. X. In South Korea comes out on top 4-2.